Greetings from Waxstar Studio. Wayne Hackman here, aka Waxstar, or for the purpose of this video, 5 Zulu 4 Whiskey Hotel 5Z4WH. And as you've guessed, I've called out my call, which means that this video is going to have an amateur radio feel. Now, I've not done one for a while, but I've actually done a few modifications to my rig. Number one, I have completely solar set it up, so it runs completely without any top up from mains electricity. Number two, I've added a noise reduction filter. And number three, I've also wired this audio into my rig. So my hope is that using the studio setup that I've got here, I can do some live streams and maybe see if I can get some feedback on how far I'm getting out. So let's have a look at the rig here. Well, you know that I originally started off by buying a Yaesu FT818. That's the rig that I use most of all, and I really enjoy using that for digital work, particularly FT8, and I've been able to contact pretty much almost all over the world, and bear in mind that conditions haven't been great. If you have a look at my log, you can just see that even in the last couple of days, you can see some FT8 contacts there as far as Brazil, Italy, and I'm quite pleased with that setup. I've also had the opportunity to use the Kenwood TS50, which I do all my voice work, which is what I've wired in. You can see there that I've wired in the audio from this computer setup, but I've also wired in a foot switch so that I can trigger the audio from my foot whilst having my hands free to type on the keyboard and have a look at my log and register things here, which has been a bit of a game changer in the way that I'm working. So I've been experimenting with that as well. And as I said, right in the middle there, you can see this silver box, this homebrew box, which I've actually bought from a Russian. And it's based on an X phase, which enables us to reduce the amount of background noise, you know, all of the electrical interference that's around me. And as you know that in some of my previous conversations, I've talked about a huge amount of background noise that I'm getting because of power lines in my garden. And that's actually been a little bit of a game changer for me. I bought a receive antenna as well, which goes alongside that. And so that and the DX Commander have been able to enable me to broadcast and actually have some really good DX experiences. So in this video, I'm going to look through the aerial and what I've did to wire up my rig to my computer, as well as the solar side of things as well. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and, well, come along for the ride. So I've done some research, and what I want to do is I want to build a little system using this receive antenna here and connect it to a noise cancelling device. It takes a receive signal from something like this, and you use it to isolate the noise, and by a clever bit of electronic jiggery pokery, you're able to cancel out all of that background noise, leaving only signal that is useful left. And so I'm hoping that there'll be some form of improvement so I can continue DXing across the world and hearing some of those quieter stations. So what exactly is this piece of equipment? Well, I bought this from a company called Nevada Radio in the UK. Set me back just shy of £60. And you can see that this is what, once constructed, the device will look like. And I've got a pole already in place and a cable nearby, so it shouldn't take me long to put this device up. I hasten to add that this device is a receive antenna. You can see some of the specifications right there. They call it a disc cone. It looks a bit like a cone once it's constructed. And this will pick up VHF through or down to HF. So all being well, we'll be able to get something on this. Don't worry, I don't normally put shirt and trousers on to build antenna. This was footage from a previous take. However, it didn't take long to put together. I didn't even need the destructions. It screwed together really, really nicely. And upon completion, it looks a little bit like it belongs on top of a rocket. I had a piece of pipe and was able to mount this receive antenna approximately 10 meters above my home, and here it is in its former glory, ready to receive transmission. So another modification that I did was to address some of the high noise problems that I've got. Now, I do live in the middle of nowhere, but the problem is that even in my own garden, there's some rather large power lines that come through my garden and supply the houses in the little estate that I live in, plus the school. And that creates quite a lot of background noise and quite frustrating. And so I had a look online to see if there were any options out there. And I originally found, I think it's an MFJ device, which was about $300, and I might invest in that at some point. But I found online a Russian guy that sold these X-phase homebrew devices, and how it works is quite simple. You plug the antenna, the transmit antenna in, which is a DX commander, and I've made a few videos on how I built that, and then you plug another antenna into it, as well as the input or the output of the radio. And just by interfering with these knobs here, enables you to pick up that constant background noise, and by a little bit of electronics jiggery pokery, you're able to put out of phase that regular background noise and reduce the background noise, the artificial noise that might be created around you, quite considerably. So let's talk about how I connected my audio to my computer. Now, I thought to myself, there must be a way of plugging in using the Kenwood connection on the front of the radio and plugging it into the audio of my computer. And it turns out you can. Now, just in front of me here, you can see here, this is version 2 actually. I haven't quite finished it yet. But I bought a whole load of these sort of Kenwood plugs, and I know that these plugs aren't just Kenwood. Other radios have them as well, and what I've done is I wired them up in a way that this larger jack socket here connects to this foot switch, and then when I push down on that foot switch, it enables the push to talk, and then the audio goes into these two jacks here. Now, the version 1, which I'm using at the moment, this will eventually be version 2. I'll get round to finishing it. But version 1 has an XLR output, and that XLR output goes into a DI box, and that DI box then goes into the mixing desk, which is connected to my computer. And that's worked quite well. Actually, why don't we just listen to a little bit of audio that I had yesterday to a guy in South Africa, where I was pleased with the outcome of what I had created. Hello, Zulu Sierra 6 Radio India Charlie. Nice to meet your acquaintance. 5 Zulu 4 Whiskey Hotel here. My name is Wayne. Whiskey Alpha Yankee November Echo. You're breaking through to my static. Can give you a sort of signal report of 5 and 4 over. 5 and 4. Thanks for responding to my CQ. Over.
All right, dear Wayne. You're also not too strong. You're 5 and 353, my side, not too strong. I don't know if I had to call or not, if I would break through there, but you're also just above my testicular side.
So you can see that it's done quite a good job. Now, obviously, a little bit of tweaking needs to go. I want to see if I can work out how to put some some EQ onto the microphone and put it out into the radio so that I can perhaps remove some of the bass and add some more of those sort of frequencies around the vocal range, so that makes a big difference. But using the compressor, using the output of the mixing desk into the radio has given me some success. So another modification that I undertook was to see if I could get my whole amateur radio setup off grid, and that includes the 2 radios and also the possibility of adding my laptop. Now, power isn't hugely reliable here in Kenya, and I do have a generator connected to the house. However, it would be nice to have my whole rig set up, run off one thing we do have in abundance here, sunshine, and use this together to provide power to my rig. And I thought that this would be quite a useful thing to do. So you can see here just a very simple charge controller. I went online, found a $100 setup rig, and let's just have a look at some of those products and how I went about installing those right now. Amazon hasn't quite made it to Kenya yet, but there is an alternative called Jumia, and a quick search on their website comes up with this sub $100 solar kit. Comes with a solar charge controller with a couple of USB, as well as a 300-watt inverter with a British plug on it, which connects into that controller, as well as an 80-watt solar panel. After a bit of jiggery-pokery, I put the solar panel on the roof, ran some pretty thick gauge copper wire into the house and rigged this up. And you can see it all here ready to roll. Now, I'm really impressed with this because this was able to run an old Windows laptop running FTA and the radio equipment for a good 8 hours, and there was charge to spare. So you can see that I've been a little bit of a busy boy. I've worked on removing some of that electrical interference on my rig. I've worked to improve the audio. I've worked to take my whole system off grid so that in times of a power failure or emergency, I'll be able to run the radio equipment without the need of an electrical mains connection. It just leaves me to say that I'm planning to do one more thing as well. As you know, my studio here is set up for live streaming. I do a lot of video work for my daytime job as well. But the good news is that I'm able to live stream my radio equipment through my computer system here now, through YouTube. And I'm wondering if there's anybody out there that would be interested in perhaps connecting up with me on a live stream, an opportunity for you to perhaps radio in, hear what you sound like, an opportunity for me to practice my radio skills and get feedback from you. And if you are interested in that, please drop a comment in the description. I would love a gauge to see who is interested in that. Of course, my YouTube channel has lots of videos, everything from technology, my faith, radio work, and all the other things, my flying, all the other things that interest me as well. So hopefully there's something there for all of my subscribers. And so I want to thank you for connecting with me now. This has turned into a bit of a mammoth video, but there will be more videos based on my amateur radio hobby coming soon. And as always, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Do all of the things that YouTubers do. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye!